So I knew this was a complicated story. I knew it wasn't an easy story. So I knew that this wasn't a story I was going to take to a big Hollywood studio and get it funded, right? I figured, okay, if we're going to do this, we're going to do it ourselves. And so what I did was I went back to my political contacts, but more importantly, I went back to my contacts in the Taiwanese community, because I knew this was their story. And I said, listen, this is your story, you've always wanted it told, and you're always talking about how nobody ever acknowledges us or sees us or acknowledges our struggle. What can we do about it? And I said, this is what you can do. You can put your money in this movie, and we can do something about this. And over a period of time, about 1.5 to 2 years, I went and I did this pitch basically around the country, and eventually took me around the world. I ended up doing like 300 or 400 fundraisers, and I spoke to thousands and thousands of people, pitching them this story. And I mean, I wasn't telling them I had a movie star attached. I didn't tell them I had, I didn't have any what in Hollywood would be known as attachments. I didn't have a big director. I didn't have anything at the time. I just had the pitch, I had the story, I had a business plan, and I had a very, very clear way of how I wanted to get this done. And eventually, we were able to raise millions and millions and millions of dollars, primarily through, I would say, primarily through the Taiwanese American community. And I know that for a fact, a number of people in the Taiwanese community have told me that the Taiwanese community has never put this much money in a single project dealing just with this issue, dealing just with Taiwan. And so once you have that idea, that kernel of an idea, and you raise that money, and then the doors start to open. Then I began to attach people, because I didn't know how to produce a movie this big, so I went out and hired a producer, and then that producer introduced me to our director, who I'll be introducing to you in a little bit. His name's Adam Kane. And I'll speak about Adam in a little bit. But basically, the idea with this was that, I began to hire all these people, and it culminated to the point that we got a major casting director attached, and finally we made offers, and we talked to bunches of movie stars. I mean, lots of people were interested in the movie. Ethan Hawke, we talked to Matt Dillon, we talked to Bradley Cooper. I mean, we talked to big, big movie stars, and eventually we held auditions for the film. And the person who ended up getting the part was James Van Der Beek of Dawson's Creek. Now, a lot of people ask me, like, why did you pick James Van Der Beek? Why did you pick, James for this film? And I thought, well, the reason, Adam and I talked about it, and the reason is, for this character, for this part, we wanted someone who was pretty much as American as apple pie. And that someone that wouldn't know anything about Taiwan and about the politics, and you see really the movie through his eyes. And we looked at each other and we're like, you can't pick anyone whiter than James Van Der Beek. You just can't. I mean, he's the whitest man on earth, and it's perfect for this role, because you want someone who doesn't know anything about Taiwan or China or the politics of the situation. You want them to go into this situation and kind of discover it, and you as the audience are discovering it with them. And so eventually, we put together this great cast of, a lot of people you'll see that you recognize from different, you may not know their names, but you definitely would know them. And we also hired a lot of Asian Americans. One of the stars of the movie, an actor named Tiao, you probably know him mostly from the Rush Hour movies. He played Counselor Han in the first one, Ambassador Han in the third one. But he's been working in Hollywood for almost 30 years. He was in The Quiet American, he was in Lady Killers, he was in tons and tons of movies and TV shows, and still is. And I'll never forget when we finished the movie and we had the premiere in Hollywood, in Beverly Hills. We had all the investors come, everybody come, and I remember him saying to me, Will, I've never seen this many Asian Americans at a Hollywood premiere. This is the first time I've ever seen anything like this in my 30 years in Hollywood. And so he's become a huge supporter and a huge fan, obviously, of the film. And so, we basically, in 2007, I finished raising the money. In 2008, we shot the film. Last year, we finished it, and we've been playing in film festivals around the country, and around the world. We played at played in New York, Montreal, LA, San Diego, St. Louis, Sao Paulo, Brazil. We've won awards. We won the best film at the San Diego Film Festival. James Van Der Beek won Best Actor. We also won a prize at the Philadelphia Asian American Film Festival. So the film has been pretty well awarded, but more importantly to me, every screening was sold out. And I think that the reason that they're sold out is because there's just this huge need from the Asian American community and from other communities to have our voices told. And the one thing, they asked me to talk about Asian Americans in Hollywood, and I don't know, I can't speak for all the other Asian American actors out there, but what I can say is that, it's rough. It is rough working in Hollywood, and as people say that it's racist, and people say it's this and that, and I honestly can't disagree with that. It is a rough neighborhood. But the one thing about Hollywood is that Hollywood really cares about one color, and that's green, money. And so if you bring money or you show you can deliver it, then they will do something about it. If they see an audience there, if they see that people want to see films like this, they will create more projects. That's the one thing that I've realized in this process. And so, I say that because the film, so now we're done with our festival run, and we are actually coming out to theaters nationwide starting at the end of February. And so the first weekend that we're going to be playing will be February 26th. February 26th through 28th. February 28th, 228 is a big day in Taiwan. There was a major massacre that happened there, and it's described in the film. And so we're going to be opening in 4 cities, New York, LA, Bay Area, and Boston. Now, LA, I asked our distributor, I said specifically, I want you to open in Orange County. And I specifically said, I want you to open here in Irvine. Because, we really believe we have a strong base here. We have a lot of people who want to see the film. And so one of the reasons I came to you today is to ask you to please, see the film, tell your friends about the film, and most importantly, tell your friends who are not, if you're Taiwanese, my Taiwanese brothers and sisters, bring a non-Taiwanese friend, bring someone who doesn't know this story, because this film is aimed at them, at people, at people who don't know the story of Taiwan. This is really what the film is about. Now, I want to introduce at this time my producing partner and the director of the film, Adam Kane. And the reason I brought Adam on was because there's 2 reasons. In terms of the film, Adam was a cameraman for 20 years. He shot the pilot of Heroes. He won every award under the sun for that, and they made him a director, and since then he's been directing all sorts of shows, from Heroes to Pushing Daisies to My Own Worst Enemy to Kings. He just recently wrapped this week the season finale of Heroes. So if you watch the season finale of Heroes, he's the one who directed it. And I picked him because he's someone who really had an affinity for the story, but also because a show like Heroes is something a lot of us Asian Americans watch because there are Asian American characters on there, right? I mean, one of the main characters on there, I think his name is Ando on the show, is James Kyson Lee. James is a good friend of mine. We used to audition against each other all the time. And we've always been very, very supportive of each other, and that's what I'm asking for. We're asking for support, and we're asking to look for allies. And Adam really is an ally in the industry. I mean, you'll see him, he's a 40-year-old white guy. And he is the mainstream. He is what Hollywood is. And we need people like this. We need people like him to be on our side so that we can take it to the next level, to move the ball forward, because that's always what it's about. It's about moving the ball forward. So Adam, would you please come and